Hey people, this is TN Politics with Maya, and I'm Maya. I thought that it's only fair if I'm starting a podcast to explain a bit the background and to give you a bit of an insight why the podcast is called TN Politics. So this will be a podcast on modern leadership, on questioning the topics of management, leadership, power, empowerment, all of those huge words that we use when it comes to policy and politics. Why is there the T in all of that? I think that's a fair question. Well, it's not, I know that in tea in English is this metaphor that you gossip. It's not going to be a bit about gossip at all. Tea for me has a very significant meaning. As I come originally from Bulgaria and we're so blessed with so many different herbs, one way of my great-grandmother expressing love was through herbal tea. And every time I had something sad or unfair happened to me in my kid's brain, she would always support me in this time and show me love and care through making a great teapot of herbal tea. And that transferred into my understanding of how I show love to the people that I care about and how I not only care about my children and my family, but also how I started to show love to my community. And it started with the tea as well. It will be 10 years next year, but 10 years ago, I started something with a bunch of friends called the Social Tea House Network, which supported youngsters without parents. And we started to build the concept of mentorship through the tea and through the herbs and through learning, through non-formal education. And it slowly morphed into these very different things. So from tea and volunteering and community and support, we started to have conversations about politics, about human rights, about inclusion, about institutions, about deinstitutionalization. And I realized that I somehow started with tea, but ended up into politics. And that's why actually the podcast is called Tea and Politics. I must say that it's also fair to mention that my second and my third job actually were also into politics. I was the executive director of one of the largest service providers for people with disabilities in Eastern Europe called Dom. A lot of love to all of my former colleagues there. And again, when I started, I thought that I would have a lot of challenges when it comes to management because it's a large team, it's a diverse team, it's a very challenging job to have. But for all of the years that I was there, I realized that I had to most of my challenges again were when talking with policymakers, to policymakers, sometimes talking to myself about policymakers, challenging their decision on national, international level, trying to understand their decisions and adapt and implement them on national level or local level. And again, it was something that I would always go back to how I thought politicians should be, that they have to be working from the perspective of love towards the community and love towards the people. And of course, there are many ways to do that, but sometimes I wouldn't see that in the decisions that were taken when it comes to policies for human rights, for inclusion, or for equality. And if we fast forward, in 2021, I relocated to Brussels, and I was, for a while, in charge of one of the largest European networks representing social service providers from so many countries. And it was, again, a very challenging job to speak to different policymakers, to speak to leaders, to try to find the common ground. And I will share something personal. Sometimes I met so many people. Some of them were inspiring innovators of our time, and they made me so motivated to work, and they encouraged me so much to think more, to work more, to try to better myself at what I do. Then, completely honestly, sometimes I met people who made me question my faith in democracy, my faith in humanity, my faith in leadership, and everything that I knew about leading a team, leading an organization, leading people, and even like, I know that justice, for example, is something very broad as a term, but sometimes they made me question justice and fairness in the world. And they really demotivated me when it comes to being an advocate for equality and for inclusion. So I had these really interesting experiences in the last 15 years with different people, with different fields, with different environments. And I would always go back to the fact that I think people should act out of love, act out of care, act out of desire to be better for them, for themselves, for their families, for their communities. And it has to be seen in decision making, in politics, in policies. And yet here we are. I want to have some space where I can question that with leaders, not only about leaders. So every week there will be a new episode with a leader sitting right next to me, sharing a cup of nice Bulgarian herbal tea and talking about power and empowerment, about accountability, about decision making, about fairness, justice, equality, the gender pay gap, inclusion, human rights, children's rights, circular economy, social enterprises, social innovation, recycling, fast fashion, waste management, everything. There's so many things that I'm curious about. And a lot of them, maybe all of those topics that I just mentioned sound like, wow, that's everything. And it is everything. Because if we filter it through decision-making, accountability, fairness, I think that we can talk about everything. And if we question leaders on whatever they are leading, whatever team, whatever topic, yeah, I'm curious about that. And I hope that you are as well. Having said all that, I want to invite you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Obviously, I'm so new, I'm so terrified in doing this podcast, but it's been in my head for a while. And if you know me, I'm a very curious person and I don't really give up on anything. But then also, if I have an idea, I really have to go with it. So this is where we are right now. If you're interested to join me on this journey, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel, support the Patreon link down below. And I just want to use this 10 seconds. I want to thank all of the people who helped me start this. You know who you are. Thank you very much. I would not be able to, thank you for giving me the advices on lights, audio, the editing, the everything, the decor, my speech, my posture. I'm so stressed about all of that. And I'm so grateful that I have all the right people around me to support me. So thank you for this. That's it. That's episode 0. I'm interested. I'm very curious to see where this journey will bring us. I already have, so that's a bit of a information from the kitchen. I already have booked the first 10 guests for the podcast. So that is generally a confirmation that I'm doing that and it's happening. I will try to have a schedule of 1 episode per week. And if you have any suggestions for people that you want to see sit next to me and discuss the topics that I just mentioned, feel free to message me here or on LinkedIn, and feel free to suggest topics, guests, ideas. I'm open to hearing your feedback. Thank you for being here. Be kind, hug your dog, enjoy life, and see you next week. Thank you so much for being here.